Down in three, two, one. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's real estate authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author, and Barb Schlinker is also a pilot. Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. If you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just go ahead and search for Barb. You'll find her on almost all of the popular podcast platforms like iHeartRadio. Every week, the Real Estate Voice, check that. Every week, Your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of the average person's largest assets, their home. Barb, what are we covering today?
Well, Richard, right now we're going into the fall season, so there's not as many buyers out. I would say a majority of the sales do take place. Well, we sell every month, so let me put that in perspective. I had 2 sales yesterday, so it happens every month. However, it's not as robust as, say, the summer and spring months. So if you're a home seller right now, how do you sell your house when there's fewer buyers to choose from here in Colorado? And then the next topic we're going to cover is what increases home value when you're selling a house. A lot of people make some unusual assumptions about that. Things like, well, doesn't my tankless water heater increase the value? No, not really. You know, it's a nice to have thing for the buyer. Same with solar panels, believe it or not. It's kind of a controversial topic because, it's supposed to be something that might help the environment a little bit. However, the cost of solar typically runs anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 to put on your house. And then you have to do the math. If your electric bill is, say, $100 a month, how many months would it take for that to pay off? The interesting thing, though, is that having a solar system doesn't necessarily make the buyer pay more money for the house. It's sort of a, oh, that's nice kind of thing. So I would not do that if you're planning to sell a home because it will not increase the value, but we'll go over some different things that actually can increase your home's value. The third topic is going to be about what do you do, excuse me, what do you do if you want to buy a home, but you have to sell a home first? It's the number one dilemma that many, many home buyers run into. Some have already solved the problem by having a paid for house. They could go buy their next home first without any problem. But if they need to take their equity out in order to buy their next home, we've got some new and exciting things that I want to share with you on how you can do that at very low cost. And then the last topic, also very controversial, is whether or not a buyer really needs a real estate agent to buy a house. And as always, I love talking about my hot new listings. Richard?
Well, Barb, with the rates being as high as they are, there are fewer buyers that can afford a home. 3, 2, 1. Barb, with the rates being as high as they are right now, there are fewer buyers that can afford a home right now. How do you sell a home with fewer buyers to choose from?
Well, Richard, it's interesting. On the way to record the show, I was listening to that very discussion on the radio. The problem is that the rates are higher than what we've seen right after the meltdown. All that was kind of artificial, and it was left by the Fed for about 10 years after the meltdown. So they drove the interest rates down to almost zero. I talk to a lot of people every week that say they have a 30-year fixed mortgage at 2.5 or 2.75%, which is amazing, but you can't get that now. And the possibility of that happening in the near future probably are very low likelihood. And what's interesting to me is when the Fed alters the rates, like they did this past week, where they dropped the rates a quarter point. And at the time, the 30-year conventional rate was sitting at 6.1. I thought, oh, we're making progress here. We're getting down from where we were before at 7.5 last year. Now we're down to 6.1. The Fed dropped it another corner. The Fed dropped it another 0.25%. And what do you think happened? The mortgage rates went back up to 6.3. So I don't know why that happened. Maybe they priced in that they were expecting a 0.5 point rate, or maybe it's just comparing apples to oranges. The Fed rate doesn't always translate to what the mortgage rates are going to do. Those are more focused on the 5 and 10-year bond. So what we're seeing right now is that the rates are kind of hovering along. But the biggest dilemma for home buyers at this time is that the prices are still high. They can't afford these payments, even though the rates aren't that bad. I actually did some research and kind of went way back in time, kind of zoomed out to see where were interest rates back. I remember I think I bought my first house when we were just coming off the 18% interest rates during, I think, the Carter administration around that time. And then they dropped down to maybe 12%. And I think the house that I bought was like 110,000 in California. Of course, you can't touch that now for that price, but I had to buy down the interest rate to make it affordable for me. And so those programs are still out there now. So if it's a payment issue, I encourage buyers to go out there and get with a good qualified mortgage broker, not one of these two-week wonders, because just so you know, it's only 2 weeks of school to become a mortgage broker. So how much do they really know? You really want to talk to somebody that has expertise and programs that can help you think through and plan out what is that payment and what is that price point that makes it affordable for you to be a homeowner? Because the benefits of home ownership go wide and long. When you think about it, when you buy a house, even if you get a 30-year mortgage, your payment is essentially locked in with the exception of property taxes and homeowners insurance. Those two things could go up, and they have been going up lately. But in general, you're not going to face something like the mortgage payment going up substantially. It gets fixed for 30 years and then it's paid off. As opposed to if you rented a home, chances of the rent going up are very high year after year after year. And you don't get any benefit to that. You're not buying down your mortgage. You're not increasing your equity position in that home. So it's always better to be a home buyer versus not. However, it's all about, can you afford the payment? So if you listen to different gurus, some of them say, oh, you should have a payment that's about 25% of your take-home pay. That would be great. I think it's hard to do these days. But generally, the lenders will qualify you up to 30, maybe 40%. I talked to somebody yesterday that told me he thought rent was fairly equal as to what he thought he was going to pay in a mortgage right now. But if you zoom out and look at rates as they are now, as compared to what they were years ago, they're very, very similar to what they were in the early 2000s. And the market was red hot at the time. The difference was the prices were actually a lot lower. So if you pull up data and see what's going on right now, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like if you look at the median list price, just since June, it's dropped $20,000. Even the new listings have dropped even more than that. The other thing that I'm looking at really hard is, what is the trend? Like the days on market is marching longer and longer. Now it's up to 91 days is the average time from the time a house goes on the market to the time that the seller gets a contract. Now, that's still a pretty balanced market in the scheme of things. If you start going over 6 months days on the market, then we've got a problem. So what has changed from 2 years ago? 2 years ago, we had half as much available homes on the market as we do now. So we have more inventory, more choices for buyer. The sellers are competing for the same amount of buyers, essentially, that are buying homes as they were 2 years ago. So that's why we're seeing a little bit of softness in the market. But the weirdest thing about it, I look back on I was doing this topic a while ago. It was 2 years ago. And I looked back at the average prices back then, August of 2023, that was about 554. If you look at what the average prices are now, they're about 554 then and 566 now. So the prices have gone up, but the buyer demand has gone down. So something probably will give. I would not be surprised to see prices correct a little bit going into the fall and the winter. Even Fred, which is basically Freddie Mac, came out with some data that really indicated, going all the way back to 2017, that the number of available homes has surged. Now we're seeing mixed information from some of the experts, like Stansberry Research says, oh, don't worry, the housing market won't crash. Sellers are not really under pressure to sell because they're not facing foreclosure. They have equity, they have low interest rate loans, but they do expect what they call the calm before the storm, meaning we might have some changes in the market. And it's all about mortgage rates. And right now they're okay. They're at 6%. If you're a buyer in this market and you don't want to have to compete, I would be looking at buying now and not waiting. Everybody's predicting that the Fed and perhaps the interest rates could drop by 1% this time next year. That would be great. But if that happens, we could have bidding wars. The other dilemma is that builders are offering massive incentives. I was just talking to one of my colleagues a couple of days ago going, how come these agents aren't showing homes? And she goes, well, most of them have jobs because they can't make it in real estate. That's one issue. Or they're driving them to the builders that are giving away large commission to the agent. They're making it easy for the buyer to walk in. They're offering as much as $50,000 in incentives to the buyer to buy their homes versus existing homes. So it's extremely competitive right now, more than I've seen in a long time. So when we come back, my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of the show. We're going to be talking about some steps that you can do to sell in any market. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900. We have lots of buyers in our database of buyers in waiting. Typically, we can match over 1,000 buyers to any home. And all you have to do is give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the Fed's recent increase on the Fed borrowing rate and whether or not it has an effect on the housing market. So, what should home sellers expect and do in a market situation like this one?
Well, in this situation where you've got more inventory to compete with, you have to look at your competition. You can't just look backwards at other sales and go, oh, that one sold for this amount, so therefore my home should sell for this amount. You've got to look at what's in front of you, because that's what all the buyers are looking at. They're looking at what is their current competition, what can they get in their price range, and you just have to be the best available solution for the buyers on the market. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to be remodeled. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be pretty. The key there is it has to be affordable and priced right. What's different now is don't expect bidding wars. That doesn't happen very often right now because there's fewer buyers to compete with. And the online presentation is absolutely critical. If you don't impress them online, if 100% of home buyers are searching online, they're going to eliminate most of those homes. So it has to be marketed correctly, both with price and presentation. And we know how to help you do that. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. When we come back, we'll be discussing what increases home value when you're selling your Colorado home. Barb has that answer when we come back. All right. Yeah, just one second. I'm on the men's room real quick.
Everything okay on your end?
Me, yeah.
Okay.
I have bite marks on my legs. He thinks I'm a chew
puppy.
toy. He'll jump up, and scratch me with his dew claws, and I got one little nip out of my thigh. Oh, whatever. He thinks if
Puppy,
we say
puppy.
no, he just like, "Oh, that was fun." That's crazy.
Is that part of the game?
Right. Oh my God.
Okay.
She's got a dog that thinks she's a chew toy.
Gosh. How's your elbow? Speaking of Barb as a chew toy.
It's coming back. I lifted a box of paper yesterday. That was a mistake. Kind of hurt last night, but
It's hard when you're like that because you're so used to, picking stuff up or making this motion, that motion. Then all of a sudden,
shouldn't have done that. That was dumb.
Yep. All right, let's see here.
Just gonna let it do its thing,
Wait a minute. Hold on. All right. Now I am ready. All right. I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. I'm Richard Randall, and welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with the host of the program, Barb Schlinker, Your Real Estate Voice, and the owner broker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, in this market, there are many more homes that are not selling. So, what are the improvements that increase the home value so that home sellers can get the most money when they are selling their home?
Well, Richard, for most people, it's not what you think. You'd be really surprised at some of the things that can make a big difference between the homes sitting there on the market for a while and not selling and the ones that are selling. First of all, of course, it's price. So when you have a market that's slightly declining, a lot more competition, you have to be priced right. All the marketing in the world does not matter if it's not priced appropriately because the buyers understand the market. But what's really odd is that overall the prices are heading up. So how do you prepare as a home seller? You really only get one shot to make an impression. And your shot is what's presented online in less than 60 seconds. So first of all, it has to be priced very realistically. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to be fixed up. But if it's not fixed up, there's a different price for that. So you have to understand you're going to price it way below what the full retail Corinthian leather remodeled look is. And I had some fun with this morning because I was kind of studying things like, okay, so what actually does give value for a home? Does it really matter if you go in and gut the kitchen and spend who knows how much and remodel? It depends. It depends on the price point. I wouldn't do it to sell as long as it's functional, as long as things aren't broken, like you don't have fractured formica and stuff like that. It's okay. And it does depend on the price point. If you're in a lower price point, sometimes remodeling a whole kitchen might be an over upgrade. You will get a good ROI on things like appliances for sure, as long as they match and they work and they're clean and they're functional. A lot of people don't want to take on broken stuff. So you just have to plan on that when you're selling a home. So one of the ways you can get the most money is just take a very objective view of your house and look at these 6 rooms. The first one's curb appeal. Now, you may not get the money out of putting $100,000 in landscaping. If you can do a lot of the work yourself, that's fine. But in general, it just has to be neat and tidy, little things like freshen the mulch beds. It's kind of too late in the season to plant flowers, but you might be able to put some flower pots in there until it starts to snow by the front door. Paint the front door. We should have some warm weather left that you can do that. Fix the broken doorbell, fix the broken mailbox, make sure the yard front and back looks cleaned up and inviting, because that is that subliminal first impression that takes place as people are walking towards the house. The next room you got to really think about, of course, is the living room. Now, people don't live in the home the same way they sell a home. So you really have to make it look very austere and like a model to get people in the door. And some of the things that actually command the most money are very, very neutral paint, especially for living rooms. A light beige or grayish, as they say, is very popular right now. The same in the kitchen. The other room that's important is the master bathroom. So if you have, outdated fixtures, if you have messed up counters, like the counters I used to have in my master bath were made of slate tile, which if you put a bottle of water that was cold, that was dripping from the condensation, it would stain those tiles. It was that porous. So I couldn't wait to get rid of that, but it costs a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of years for me to get that return on my investment, but I love it now, and that's fine. Another thing that really matters is the master bedroom as well. So you want to declutter as much as possible. Use a light color bedspread. Don't do these heavy, dark, or dramatic colors. And then I also read that according to Zillow, there are 2 colors that you put on paint that can actually reduce your sales price. One of them is yellow and the other is red, especially red, because red turns fuchsia online. It changes colors online. So make sure that when you're neutralizing the paint in your house, that you get it right. Because we know most buyers are eliminating homes online, clutter is not your friend. That's an easy, free thing that you can do to make it look good. I'm showing a picture right now of this bathroom. It's my favorite one to talk about because it was such a low price place. It should have flown off the shelf during the boom. But because her pictures were so bad, because the staging was bad, because you're looking at this big giant cat box, so that eliminates a certain percentage of people that are allergic to cats right out of the gate. All the clutter on the counter, the listing agent is imaged in the mirror, rugs on the floor. The shower curtain is closed. If you close a shower curtain, people think that there's mold back there. Okay. So you don't want any weird assumptions taking place if you have less than a minute to make an impression. It's absolutely critical. So what improvements increase value? Obviously kitchens and baths. Now that doesn't mean you have to remodel a kitchen. I actually had one this year that I sold that the kitchen appliances, most of them were 1960s vintage, but they still worked. They still looked good. And the seller chose to price it appropriately. And we sold that home for 15,000 over asking price. And so marketing is critical too. A lot of agents think marketing is you maybe get some professional photos, stick it in a multiple listing service, and then that copies over to the websites where the buyers are actually looking, which is Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com. And then, that's their marketing. But what I'm finding though is that people don't actually look in the actual MLSs. I can't even get the real estate agents to read the showing instructions in the excuse me. I can't even get the real estate agents to read the showing instructions in the actual multiple listing service, even though I serve it up to them on text on their phone with the showing service. They don't read that either. They connect with the buyer somehow, they open a door, hope they love it, then they start exploring after. So a lot of people, a lot of agents don't have a solution for their buyers if they have a house to sell. So every single week I'm getting requests from agents going, well, my buyer has a house to sell. Do you think your seller would reserve your home for us and wait for my buyer to sell the house, which, by the way, is not even on the market yet? I mean, Richard, to me, it's a non-offer. What do you think?
I think it's a non-author offer completely. And that's why it is something that I would only trust someone like you to handle, because this is not the kind of thing you can handle if you just got a real estate license after a couple of months in real estate school and you have no context, no idea how to market, no idea how to negotiate. Have no idea what to do when you get in a situation like this.
Yeah, and then we've got things like the multiple listing service that are working against us in that situation. They actually require that you put the status in the MLS, which is called right of refusal, which indicates that the seller accepted an offer contingent on somebody's house selling, but it's not sold yet. So it's supposed to indicate to other agents that if they had a buyer that didn't have a house to sell, they might have an opportunity to get that house. But the problem is there's a very low bar for education, and buyers don't search by that. Agents don't search by that. And on top of that, when that coding of right of refusal translates to the websites where the buyers are, it shows as if the home is unavailable and under contract. So it creates all kinds of demand destruction. I'm just amazed that they have these rules that work against our home sellers. And it does basically reserve the house for the buyer, waiting and waiting and waiting for them to maybe sell their home. So we do have solutions. We have trade up programs. We have buy before you sell programs. We have cash offers. Even if the agent brings us an offer and their buyer has a house to sell, we can get their buyer a cash offer on their house so they can buy your home without a sale contingency, which makes your home more valuable. So we have all these programs that we can help people with. Those are some of the little things as far as conditions or circumstances that can actually make your home more valuable, that don't include upgrading the home at all. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about what is it that increases home value? And when we come back, we're going to talk about a few other pointers that might make your home go up in value. Now, not all real estate agents are the same. And the number one question I get from home sellers, besides what do you think my home is worth, is what do I need to do to get the house ready for sale? So we help people do that every single week. And we try to make it easy for people to buy your home as well as be able to sell their home in that situation. Richard?
Barb, we're talking with Barb. Oh, hold on. We're talking here with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And you can always reach Barb at 719 301 3,900. Barb, we're talking about how to sell your home and, of course, for the most money. So, what are some things that increase a home's value at sale?
Well, what the home seller controls is condition. And no matter what the market is, if the home is priced appropriately, if it's in good condition, it's way more likely to sell than ones that are not in good condition. Like I talked about the 1960s kitchen. I just sold a house about a week ago that was not, a full-on remodel, but the seller chose to price it right and ended up actually with a bidding war, almost $1 million. But what you can control are things like deferred maintenance, like if the carpet is tired. And then here's some other things that you could run across if you're selling a home, that outside influences have an impact on your home's condition. Number one, the latest thing that's been happening is homeowner insurance companies are saying, oh, we won't insure that house unless the roof is less than 10 years old. And most of the time roofs last longer than that, unless they got, hit by a hailstorm or something like that. So I don't know who came up with that arbitrary rule, but I actually got an offer a few weeks ago saying, unless the seller replaces the roof, we're not buying it. I'm like, wow, okay, bye-bye, because the roof, there was nothing wrong with the roof. You can usually deal with the age of a furnace with a home warranty, unless you think it might be close to failing. Generally, they last about 22 years. But the water heater to me is the most interesting thing. So if you do a home inspection, these unlicensed, unqualified home inspectors will automatically deem a water heater dead if it's more than 8 to 10 years old. Same with smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. They will encourage the buyer to ask for new stuff like this. So if you want to get ahead of it, those are relatively inexpensive things that you could take care of if you plan to go on the market if your water heater is old. Ours lasted, I think, 22 years until it started to show signs of corrosion. But if you're going to sell it, you really don't want to have any of these objections. Another thing that can really be a problem that most people don't check unless there's a backup or a problem is the sewer or septic system. Those can be very costly and very time consuming. So I definitely would check all of those systems out before you go on the market. Another thing you can handle is curb appeal. Relatively easy to paint the front door, mulch, fix the doorbell, make the backyard look good. Same with flooring. You want the flooring to be move-in ready. Appliances should match. And it's absolutely critical that you get great photos online, and most of all is pricing it correctly. We know how to do that. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker, your real estate voice. Barb's from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, the owner proprietor there, host of the program, and you can always reach her at 719-301-3900. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing what to do if you want to buy a home, but you already have a house to sell. Catch 22. Barb will explain it.
I'm being too redundant with these shows, let me know.
I don't think so. I mean, I hear every show, and I don't think it sounds redundant. And I think all the marketing shows that people are listening. They don't listen to me for the entire 2 hours. A lot of times they hear a part here, a part there. I think that's probably true on the weekends as well. And if that's being the case, then I think, yeah, there's a chance that maybe they heard something 3 or 4 months ago, but I don't think it's an issue whatsoever.
Thank you.
At all. I'm going to take my headphones off for one quick second. Ugh.
Just brought me food. She's always bringing me food. So cute. She's a really good cook.
All right. Barb, you look good. David, you look good.
Oh, thanks.
Everybody ready? I know. All right. I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Richard Randall, and welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She is your real estate voice. And this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of the program. Now, Barb, most people are very concerned about which comes first, sell first, then live in temporary housing, or buy first, then sell at your leisure. Catch 22. So, what are some solutions that you have, Barb, at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty?
Well, we have quite a few solutions, Richard, and it's interesting over the years to watch how people do this. And some people do it in the best manner, like the folks that have a paid for house or they can afford two houses will tend to go ahead and buy their next home first and then move. Sometimes they move first, or sometimes they get their home sold and then they move, but there's not any pressure on them, which I think is a good way. There are some people that go the opposite spectrum and they want to close on their home the day that their home sells, which would be great if all the stars align, but you never know what's going to happen. So you might start the process, the buyer does the inspection and the buyer bails out for some stupid reason. Then you have to start all over again. And then you have to unwind that contract that you did on the other end. So I always tell people, wait until you've got a sure bet, before you actually commit to another house, especially if your deposit is non-refundable. But in general, people want certainty that their house is going to sell. They want to get the price that they want and need, but we don't control that. We're trying to get home sellers the most money. And a lot of people have kind of pie in the sky ideas of what their home is worth based on different reasons. It could be what they put into the house. Like I had one a while ago that was really cool home. It was off the grid. It was beautiful property, but the market would not command the dollar amount that they were asking for. So you have to be very realistic about it. And of course, they want to make sure that things go smoothly, contract to closing. So there's always some bumps in the road. Typically, the biggest hiccup are the inspection repairs. Like I just closed one this week where the seller was so sure there was no leak on the tub. I said, well, you're always better off to bring in a plumber and have them substantiate it versus telling the inspector he's not right. Okay. So they did bring in a plumber. The plumber actually did recreate the leak and then they ended up having to fix it. So I think in general, people want to deliver a functional house to their buyers, but at the end of the day, there's certain things that they may not know about until the inspection takes place. That's why we always recommend that you go ahead and get a pre-inspection. It's worth the investment. It's not very expensive. And that way you only have to worry about the things that came up on your inspection, not some random inspector's inspection, because not every inspector is the same. I've had some buyers go through an inspection, they bail out, we get a new buyer, another inspection, completely different set of problems that the seller has to deal with. So that happens occasionally too. But if you have a pre-inspection and you offer a home warranty and repair those things that were identified on the inspection, you get ahead of that problem and you're able to really certify the home like they do cars, certified pre-owned home. So basically, the biggest dilemma for home sellers when they're making that transition from one house to another is to have the destination firmed up. Some people won't go until they know where they're going. Some people do, some people don't. And then making sure that the buyers that are making offers are actually qualified to buy the home. We've seen deals fall apart where the agent or the lender really didn't do their due diligence to make sure this buyer had the ability to perform. And then you go 2-3 weeks in the process. Oh, sorry, they don't qualify. And now you're back on the market starting over again. Very disappointing for home sellers. And most agents don't have any solutions if their buyer has a house to sell, but we have a whole bunch of them. First of all, you want to hire the team that knows how to do this, that can guarantee 100% of market value, that shows up with offers on their house already. How many agents do that? Most of them show up and promise, hey, I'm going to put your house on the market, and hope and pray the other thousands of real estate agents, most of which don't sell any home, bring their buyer to your house. That's what most of them do. And the stats are very sad. Like last year, this is according to Zillow, not me, 71% of real estate agents had 0 sales, 0. It's incredible to me. And I think it's just an industry failure. I'm not blaming them. I think that they're not trained on how to market, how to get business, how to grow their business. And then a contingent offer is also a recipe for failure if that buyer that wants to buy your home cannot sell their house. I had a situation about 1.5 years ago where a buyer brought an offer and it was contingent on their home selling. Their home was not on the market yet. And I asked that agent, I said, hey, what's the price going to be for the home that you're selling? Because she had given me the address. And her answer was, well, I don't know, but it has granite counters. I'm like, oh my God, you're asking me and you're asking my seller to reserve this home for them, to create all this demand destruction, to basically push other buyers away in the hopes that your listing might sell, which is not on the market yet, and you don't even know the price. That's the kind of thing that she did. And I had offers with my cash offer program. She wouldn't look at them. I said, can I present these offers to your seller? No, that's okay. But at the end of the day, I'm just the agent. I'm not the decision maker. The seller went ahead and went under contract with that buyer. And then they did an inspection. In the meantime, they put their house on the market. And to my shock and surprise, the home was priced at least 100,000 over what the current market value was. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not going to happen while we're still young. But we got lucky because the deal fell apart on inspection. Even though the buyers tried to get back in, I found out from the lender, there was no way they could buy the next home without selling their existing home. And so the MLS has things that require that we put in there that, oh, the house is under contract. And guess what? The buyers stop coming, but it is under contract, but it's with a buyer that can't buy. So I have a different strategy. I market a completely different way in that scenario if the seller wants to move forward, and it works very well for me. So you want to make sure that you hire the team that basically has your back, that can get you offers no matter what the market is doing right now, and we can do that. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And what we're talking about here is, what do you do if you want to buy your next home, but you need your equity out? You need to get the equity out, or you need to sell the home in order to make that transition. We have lots of solutions for you. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about those. So if you are thinking of moving, give us a call. If you're not quite ready to move, that's okay. You could text your address to 719-301-3900, and we can send you out some information about what your home is worth right now. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, we've gone from nearly all homes selling for a premium price not so long ago to homes now sitting longer on the market. In fact, some homes not selling at all. How do you give your sellers certainty of that sale?
Well, I have lots of friends that are very successful agents all around the country, and we collaborate together and we share our systems. So one of those systems is we have this proprietary cash offer platform where I can sell your home through these cash buyers pretty darn close at 100% of market value And that way you get most of your equity up front. And there's different programs. There's two different buyers that typically make offers in this market that basically give you full market value. And I can step you through that process. And then there's some others. There's three other buyers that will actually supply your equity to you before you sell your home. One of them is incredible. They'll actually go out and pay cash for your future home. And that way you could take your time selling your existing home. So not very many people have programs like that. Those are called buy now, sell later programs, but it's a really good idea, especially if you have a home at your destination that you just have to have. You don't want to wait. Okay. And this allows you to get into your next home and be able to sell your home at your pace. The other options, of course, are the traditional ways of doing it. Some people do a bridge loan. The one I just closed yesterday, what happened was that buyer for that house had a paid for house, and basically they just pulled a home equity line of credit and purchased that home. So sometimes you can do that, but not everybody has those benefits. A lot of people have equity, but all you need for these buy now, sell later programs is 20% equity, which is amazing, which allows you to make that transition. So we actually have over 69 high net worth buyers that will pay cash for your home. And typically what we do is we take your home, put it on the cash offer platform, and get you typically at least a half dozen offers on your home. And you can choose. You don't have to accept those offers. You may want to try the open market first, but if it doesn't work, you can always use that as your default platform to go back and use one of those cash buyers if you really need to move. I just helped a client move out of the state because as they were getting older, they were having trouble with the elevation. I see that a lot as people get older, even me. If I go up to like 9,000 feet, I don't know about you, Richard, but I get a little lightheaded and I want to sit down all the time. Do you feel it now?
I do. I used to do 14ers all the time, and I had no problem up to and above 14,000 feet. Now I'm with you. You get me up to 8, 9, 10,000 feet, I feel it absolutely.
Yeah. So some people, if they live at those elevations, now they're starting to be on oxygen, that kind of thing. It's just not comfortable for them. So I was able to get our cash buyers to pay them full market value for their home so they can move to lower elevation and they'll be able to maximize their equity at the same time. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900. We have lots of solutions for home sellers and home buyers. Or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. And if you're not ready now, that's okay. You could text your address to 719-301-3900, and we'll send you right out a screenshot of your current home value. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker, your home sold, guaranteed realty, and give her a call at 719-301-3900. If you're thinking of making a move, Barb's the person to call. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing, do buyers need a real estate agent to buy a house? Plus, we'll be talking about Barb's hot new listings. Don't miss any of that. My clock dropped.
And we're at 1320 something.
I thought it felt like we might be a little bit under. Well, then you are. Okay. I just keep thinking if I put more Red Bull in, it'll be better, right? Because that's good chemical. Oh my gosh.
So try lemonade.
Do you ever go to Breitbart News, Barb?
My husband might. I don't,
I like it a lot, but I have to say, and I was looking the past couple of days, and it's a very great site, I think, but they're selling advertising to somebody that has got an advertisement there, and it's it's about from the armpits up photograph of Carolyn Levitt, and it's saying 27. She shows her huge size in the new bikini photos, And they just have all of these people there. And I guess, they must be paying good money or something to Breitbart for it. I just don't really understand. I'm waiting to see Erica Kirk and then have a photograph there. Do you want to see Erica Kirk in, a bikini or a swimsuit? I'm like, gosh, guys.
I'm starting to not believe half the stuff I see on his websites, even YouTube. I'm like, yeah, I don't believe this.
You know what? I have to say, because YouTube is usually, I go through a rotation. I'll go through Twitter, X, and then I go to Instagram, and I go through Facebook, of course. And a lot of times, well, I'll go to TikTok, and then a lot of times I'll end up watching something on YouTube, and the algorithm knows what I'm interested in.
Yeah, that's right.
And the people who put up the videos know what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And I would say 7 out of 10 times what they say the video is about is just utter nonsense. And it's not even, remotely close to talking about what I'm interested in. But I don't know. I spend so much time wasted on things that just are not good sources for me. But I have good news for you. So Candace Owens says that she's got a lawsuit and she's getting sued by the Macrons here in the United States of America. But Candace Owens says, well, guess what? As part of the discovery for that, we're going to have Mrs. Macron have to go see a physician to verify whether she is a male or female, because that's what the whole lawsuit is about. All those rumors that, gosh. And then
he's suing her.
Yeah. And then I saw, oh my gosh, it's weird you say that, because I don't know, night before last or whatever, I saw a YouTube and it was going, do you remember when Joan Rivers was sick or something? She's going into a building and she said something about the Obamas. And well, everybody knows that, Michelle's a tranny or something like that. And then she ends up accidentally dying and stuff like that. All of a sudden, I'm going through things and this thing pops up and says, well, and Joan Rivers' daughter says that her mom had photographs. And I'm like, I should have the 24-hour Richard Randall podcast. I have to do that as a marathon sometime when I really, really feel good, because I'm pretty sure just for the novelty of it, I could do 24 hours as long as I have enough coffee and just.
That would wear me out. I'm usually worn out after just recording the show.
I know. Trust me.
My voice is tired.
Well, and I don't want to complain, but it depends on the days. There's some days when I talk, and then I come in here and I'm like, my voice sounds bad, or my mouth doesn't want to work as well as it really should. But we'll see if we can get one more out of this, huh? All right, I'm good to go here. Yeah. How about you, Barb?
Yep, I'm ready.
Count us down in 3, 2, 1. Richard Randall, welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She should be your real estate voice. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, host of the program and owner broker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, many times you've told us that most buyers start their search online and many will meet a real estate agent from that search. What do buyer's agents do these days?
Well, don't get me wrong. The title of this topic is, do buyers really need a real estate agent? Yeah, they do. They need help with contracts. There are some great buyer's agents out there, and there's some that are just what I call overpaid door openers. But what happened probably really started back right around the meltdown 2008. That technology kind of overcame having to go to a real estate agent to go find a home. Everything that was put online got shared with these tech companies like Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com. Anybody that makes it to page 1 of Google, generally, typically they are catching the buyers. So what happened was Zillow, Realtor.com, and Homes.com monetized that. They basically said, hey, we can grab all these homes for sale on the 1,500 different little multiple listing services in the country that have all different software that doesn't talk to each other, most of which are very antiquated. And we can present it as one website that's more consumer friendly. And then when we get a buyer that says, hey, I want to see that home, they sell the lead to some other real estate agent, not the listing agent. And so it really, you know, I used to think, man, this is so frustrating having sellers, because for a while there, I wasn't getting any buyer calls, but I tackled that problem. I had to join these tech companies because I knew that they have a majority of the buyer's eyes now. Zillow has 64%. Realtor.com probably has about maybe 10, 13%. Homes.com has most of the balance, and then there are a few others. But at the end of the day, these tech companies are where the buyer goes to look at homes. And if the buyer has more questions, they raise their hand, they give up their contact information, and these tech companies sell leads to real estate agents, like they're selling back the leads that we should have if we really had a comprehensive national system, which we don't. So that's okay. I find ways around it right now. But at the end of the day, technology has taken over. So in the buyer's mind, they found their own home. What do they need a real estate agent for? They're researching everything. If you talk to people, they know they're looking all around the home online. They're looking at what's around it. They're looking at prices. They're looking at what homes sold for. Most of the time, these buyers know more about that market and that price for that home than the real estate agents do, because many real estate agents don't even research it. They just go, oh, a buyer wants to look at a house. Okay, meet me there. And they show up, they open the door, they hope and pray that the buyer loves it so they can write an offer and make some money. But if not, then they try to convince them to take them to some other house. And usually that doesn't work out. We actually tested it. It doesn't work out. So that's kind of how this whole thing has morphed in the last 15 or 20 years. And you add on top of that, that the quality of the photos has gotten so good that many buyers are making a decision. Some of them are making a decision about buying the home without ever seeing it in person. So day after day, I get requests of agents going, oh, I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to video chat with my buyer right now and show him the home from out of state. Okay. So that's their actual showing, that they do it electronically. Or they don't even do that. They just call and go, I'm going to make an offer, and they haven't even seen the home, which to me, I guess I'm old school, but I wouldn't do that. I would not buy a house if I didn't put eyes on it, because you never know. I mean, I hear the feedback from buyers. Hey, this house looks way worse than it did in pictures, you know? So people don't like being deceived, but when the market's a little hotter, the buyers will do that. They will entrust other agents to get them into that home. I had a listing last year where their agent had a 30-minute inspection. So it's a acreage property. It should have taken 3 or 4 hours because it had septic and well. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, it didn't have a well. It had a cistern, which is a storage tank where you have to deliver water. It's a huge negative for a property as compared to other properties that have a well. That buyer didn't even know that until after they closed on the home, because they believed this agent that they were supposed to entrust with buying one of their largest assets. And they lost money on that house when they went on to sell it. So I'm just saying right now, I could see why consumers are frustrated, because they expect the quote professional, the real estate agent, to really understand the market, to understand financing. They do expect them to guide them through the process, you know, understand values, but I'm not seeing it. I told the story last week about I've got this one home that has structural problems. It's 3.5 years old. You walk in the front door and there's this big gaping crack in drywall. And initially I thought it was the roof. I thought, well, maybe the roof is leaking. And so I had a roofer go out there. He goes, well, the roof is shot, but the roof is not leaking. That is structural. And he pointed out some things to me. And then we started looking into what was in the basement. So what's happening, it's a ranch with the basement, and the basement slab on one side is going up. It's increasing, and either it wasn't framed right or something's wrong. But anyway, it caused a lot of drywall cracking. Even in the doorways, The trim that goes vertical on both sides of the doors now is bowing out. And I've had this listing for about 4 months. It's had almost 200 showings. And that you can see downstairs, the trim is bowing out. Now, I didn't show that picture publicly, right? I showed pictures of the cracks and I didn't say anything about it. And I started getting people whining, particularly agents whining, even though I put in the multiple listing service, I put in the private showing remarks for the agents that it has structural problems. There was another clue that there was a problem with the house. It was priced 120,000 below similar properties. That should be a clue even for a buyer. But what was happening is I was getting buyers calling me complaining that I wasted their time. These are other agents' buyers. I wasted their time because my marketing was so good, they went and looked at it. And it disappointed them when they got there. And then at the same time, since the agent didn't do their research, they walked in the door, the buyer's disappointed. So what do? They talk smack about me and go, she should have told me about that. Of course I did. All they had to do was click on one link on their phone to get all the information they needed, but they didn't do that. So it really does fall on the listing agent's shoulders to get everything right, right? So the buyer's not disappointed when they get there, to make sure that, you know, everything, all the information is out there for the buyer to have, because the other agents, the buyer's agents on these listings are not going to know anything about the house. And they're not even going to ask to find out until they get a buyer that says, hey, I like this home, after they've seen it. Then they might, you know, get a little bit more information. So to top it all off, agents are not very well trained on things like selling, negotiating, marketing, and closing skills. You know, that's stuff that I think the public expects you to know. So there was an article that came out, it's probably 2 years ago now. It's pretty cool. It was written by a millennial. His last name was Farrington. And his quote was, if they want to earn a commission, they need to do more than add their clients to the multiple listing service and send them automatic updates and go to a showing, which he's right. And that's what most of them do. And his point was, what do? I found the house. I found my own financing. I got the information from the listing agent. I can download my own contract from the state form and write an offer. And actually, I do get offers directly from buyers quite a bit on my listings. Then you top it all off with what happened last year with the antitrust laws. Now the buyer's agent commission is negotiable. It's a request from the buyer to say, hey, Mr. Seller, I've got this agent with me. Will you pay them 3% for opening the door and writing a 10-minute contract? What would you think of that, Richard?
I think whoever said that they ought to work for their commission is exactly right. And you've been doing this for a couple of decades. You work incredibly hard. You've gained so much experience when it comes to negotiating and especially marketing. And to think that somebody's just going to list it and then all of a sudden expect a commission, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it used to be that listing agents didn't do anything, but that's not the case anymore. It flipped the other way. So as a buyer's agent, you have to really convince them. I would tell you one thing that just happened to me recently is the buyer's agent wanted a higher commission. So they made an offer. We had a competition. There were a couple of offers on the house. They made an offer, but the buyer's agent insisted on getting 3%. So she came back, she called me on the phone and said, well, why didn't you put in your counter proposal that directing my buyer to pay me the difference? And I said, I'm not doing that. I don't even know what your agreement is with your buyer, but I'm not going to have the seller direct the buyer to pay your fee. I don't even know what it is. So she was trying to make the seller the bad guy. And I said, oh, heck no, we're not doing that. It was nice of her to try. But at the end of the day, it's not the seller's decision. If the seller says, this is how much I might pay for a buyer's agent fee, if the agent wants more of that, they got to negotiate with their own client. That shouldn't fall on the seller or the listing agent's lap. So I see crazy stuff all the time. And it's not just, I want my fee that should justify that. It has to be a lot more than that. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call. We negotiate every day. We sell homes every week. We know what's going on in the market right now, and we can help you. Now, if you're not ready and you want to know what your home is worth, go ahead and text your address to my phone number, 719-301-3900, and I'll text you right back your home value. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker on Your Real Estate Voice. That's the name of the program. Barb should be your real estate voice. She is the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, host of the program, and you can reach out to her at 719-301-3900. Your favorite part of the program, Barb, lightning round, hot new listings.
I'm always excited. So I have a great home, two great homes in Briargate, one on Canfield and one on Zurich Drive in the low 400s. Great school district. The one on Canfield's priced at $439,900. The one on Zurich is $454,900 in excellent condition. We also have a really cute home up in Cripple Creek. That'd be a great investment property that's rented right near the casino. Fabulous VA-owned home on Rancho Drive, priced at $325,500. Little bit of a fixer, but it's a good investment. Great home with a pool in Pueblo at $359,000. Two homes out in Rush. One is on 2 acres at $374,900. Those all have extra garages, lots of land, backs to open space, lots of peace and quiet, great schools. The other one's $355,000 North Rush at $464,900. We have a fabulous home on Tower Road in Old Colorado City, priced at $499,000, in which the whole basement can be rented out with a 5-star rated transferable Airbnb that commands as much as $15,000 a month. Fabulous home on 9 Royal Troon Drive, priced at $550,000 in very famous walking stick down in Pueblo, great neighborhood close to the university, in superb condition. This home total is almost 4,600 square feet in perfect condition, just got a brand new furnace. An amazing rancher on 10223 Capitol Peak Way out in Peyton, that backs to open space with a great backyard, beautiful floor plan, 5 bedrooms, fantastic 2-story in Briargate on Coberdale Court, 8935 Coberdale, price at $659,000, and 3-car garage in superb condition with an updated kitchen and master bathroom. Fabulous home that backs to NORAD on 5081 Broadmoor Bluffs Drive, and a gorgeous home on Open Sky Way that is actually in the gated community of High Forest Ranch. Beautiful home, over 7,000 square feet, priced at $2,095,000, and a fabulous lot in Hidden Valley. Plus, we have some properties coming very soon. A great one in Falcon Estates on 1 acre in D20, and another D20 home that's actually a saddle tree home that backs to open space. So give us a call and be looking at barbhasthebuyers.com for our sneak peek homes. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It airs every Saturday from 11 until noon. Well, I can't say that, can I? Could we? Let me do that again. I know he takes it out every time. It's just be better if I said it without him having to take it out. 3, 2, 1.
No, it's not that you're preempted. It's that it also airs